Welcome back for another helping of oysters, clams, and cockles. I am Ross Bolin, joined today, as always, by my co-host and buddy, Mr. Barrett Dudley, to bring you the best TV shows and movies weekly in an easily digestible podcast, packed with laughs. Barrett just cruised up to the studio in my Dodge Ram 3500 heavy duty. How are you doing today, partner?
Well, yeah, you know, it's been a harrowing morning, I would say, Ross.
Has it?
Yeah. I'm going to tell you why.
Okay, I would hope so.
Yeah, here's the thing. The property on which I live, it's a big wedge lot. It's very big.
Oh, sure.
It's very big.
Sure.
And as such, they're constantly just buses full of international tourists
Showing up on your property.
just showing up on my property. And they, you know, I constantly I'm going out there. I've got my gun in the air. I say, you got to get off. This is my property. And they say, no. No one man can have all this land. That makes no sense. And I say, look here, partner. This is G-Dang America. And in G-Dang America, we do not share land.
As
And
Kanye said, no one man should have all that
No
property.
one man should have all that power, but I do, you know, and I gotta get them out of there. And so I shooed them away, and it was all fine, except for then, of course, just before I was on my way to the podcast studio and to collect you in the Ram 3500.
Heavy duty.
Yeah, I was cleaning the gutters. I had to just knock off some stuff from the gutters.
Sure.
And I looked down over the eave, and there are two of these G-Dang tourists hanging off the side of my roof.
What the hell are they doing?
And they were just in a precarious spot. They were in a very precarious spot. Just it was not looking good for
what'd
them.
you do?
And I had my rope. I had my rope on me.
Of course you did.
Of course.
Cowboy.
And I said, "Do you speak English?" Only one of them did. And I said, "Well, I think I'm only going to be able to save one of you. That's what's going on here. You guys are in a real pickle, an
Okay.
American pickle, because my land is on America and we don't share land here in America."
No, we don't.
But I'm not talking about the HBO show. So I dropped my rope down to one of them, but the one that didn't speak English, he didn't understand what was happening. So he's wrestling for the rope. And in doing so, the one that I was trying to give the rope to, she fell.
The English speaker fell.
The English speaker fell, and I tell you what, this fall must have been 15 feet. And her ankle might be in a cast for a couple of weeks.
Oh, God.
And then he was still hanging there, but in an act of solidarity, he just threw himself off the roof.
Oh, hell.
Thank God I have good homeowners insurance, Ross, because it would have been a real mess. I got two people with broken ankles down there rolling around on the ground in pain.
One guy's knee doesn't look good.
You know, and it's just, as soon as that all happened, I turn around and a bird just flew in my face and I had to smack it away and kill it. And it was probably an endangered species, and I don't know what I'm going to do about that either.
It's like you're living on a ranch or something.
It's really, really just a really crazy stuff going on around the old property these days. But after all that, I just, I thought about what we were coming here to do today.
You know what that is.
And we're podcasters, and this business has always just been about breaking even.
That's what it's about.
So I just said, Lord God, give us these microphones and a little bit of luck, and we'll do the rest. And I got in my car, and I got you, and we came up to the studio, and by God, we are going to podcast our socks off today.
We're looking forward to it. We're opening with tidbits and such. Then we're talking about the return of Amazon's The Boys. Season 2.
Yeah.
Then episode 4 of HBO's latest show, Lovecraft Country. And then we will close today with Yellowstone Season 1, episodes 6 and 7. Saddle up, partner.
Yeah.
This episode of OCC is brought to you by Birddogs, makers of the most comfortable all-purpose shorts in the fucking world. You can literally wear them to do anything, anywhere, at any time. Hell, Barrett, you could wear them to go break your new colt and that you've got, your new Mustang, whatever horse you've got in the old backyard there.
Oh, I'm a stallion?
Oh, your
On
stallion.
my property? I got space for it.
Break that stallion wearing your Birddogs. They're gym shorts with a built-in silky soft inner liner that makes underwear completely obsolete. And now they make pants with built-in underwear and without it. if you're afraid of change, you coward. The most breathable, summer-friendly, golfing your dick off pants you've ever owned. Perfect for the golf course, the office, or a nice meal out on the town. They look great. Nobody will even know you're 1,000 times more comfortable than they are in your Birddogs pants. They're shockingly comfortable. Feels like you're walking around with nothing on the bottom half of your body, like Winnie the Pooh, like you're just naked and free in the wild. They dry faster than a bathing suit, Birddogs. You can hit a workout, jump straight into the pool, get out, dry off in the sun, then wear them to ride around on your stallion, Rex. We'll name him Rex.
My God, what a picture you paint.
Uh-huh. Because you're wearing Birddogs and you can do anything. Go to birddogs.com, enter the promo code DRAGON when you check out, and they will throw in a free pair of nunchucks, which you can use to fight off bears on your property. That's what they're for, these nunchucks. Birddogs.com. The code is DRAGON. Free pair of nunchucks. Easy peasy. Enjoy your Birddogs. You'll never want to take them off. There is safe space for all your most valuable possessions. Now, Barrett, let's do it. Let's jump in to Tidbits and such with Barrett. Are they big bits and such or tidbits and such today?
Oh, it's mostly just one long tid of a bit.
Okay.
Which will have a little bit of such in it. I think that's the best way to describe it. Here's the long and the short of it, Ross. I think that we have gotten ourselves into the classic situation, which I knew we would eventually find ourselves in, but here we are anyway, having bit off just about as much as we can possibly chew.
Yeah.
We can't quit. I can't quit the clamstone now. I got the C branded on my chest.
It's too deep.
It's too late. We're halfway through Lovecraft country. There's no turning back on that one, although I don't want to bury the lead here. This most recent episode had me thinking about it. I
won't bury the lead either. I'm right there with you.
And then, of course, we're talking about the boys. And did you know, it snuck right up. You know football starts this week?
Did you say foosball?
The foosball is back.
Foosball is the devil.
I know, but the gridiron returns this Thursday.
Of course I knew.
Where the Chiefs will wipe the floor with the Texans. I'm out on Texans games this year, by the way.
Are you not going to watch them?
No, I'm going to watch them if they pertain to if they have fantasy relevance.
Sure.
But Bill O'Brien is the worst after Freddie Kitchens got fired from the Browns. He's the worst coach in the NFL.
Also
in
the
my
devil.
opinion.
Yes.
And I cannot in good conscience support anything from the team that traded away DeAndre Hopkins for a washed-up running back and a bag of potato chips.
I agree.
So just kind of, we'll see. I love Deshaun. So I don't want him to get embarrassed on national TV on Thursday, but
it's likely to happen.
Yeah.
So, I'm there for DW4. That's it.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson, and that's, I'll root for some of the other guys or whatever individually, but as a team, no, Barrett, I'm not really there for the Texans anymore.
Yeah, so we got football coming up. We're both highly engaged in fantasy football. The Rockets are obviously knee-deep in the playoffs.
We've got a lot of sports going, fam. The sports came back on us.
Sports came back on us. It really snuck up. Plus, we've got these 3 shows. Plus, there's just more coming. There's just more coming down the pipeline.
Plus, we're going to see Tenet tomorrow night.
We're going to see Tenet tomorrow night. We've got to talk about
IMAX.
that in the IMAX. Big high ceilings. Don't worry about us. We'll be fine. Those museums have the best ventilation systems in the entire world.
Oh, yeah.
Many people say that they rival the ventilation systems in the NASA headquarters.
Wow.
So, it's a lot. Let's see. The Haunting of Hill House returns for its follow-up. The Haunting of Bly Manor at the end of this month or in early October.
There's 2 hauntings?
There's another haunting. Another house, another manor, another mansion, another property.
This is the second season?
Has been haunted, and they're going to show us the haunting of said manor.
Didn't we watch The Haunting of Hill House the first
We did.
season?
We didn't talk about it here on this Poddington, but we did watch. Yeah.
I remember being scared.
Yes.
Maybe I only watched a few.
It had some very scary moments.
Huh.
There's another season of Pen 15 coming. We just a lot of favorites returning.
Penis.
And boy, let me just tell you that there's just a lot. Which brings me to the bit of this tid, which is that I bit off another bite because I could not help myself, and it's my favorite thing on TV right now all the way.
What did you do?
So there is an HBO documentary that has just recently started about the Nexium cult.
I am totally unfamiliar with this.
It is called The Vow.
Okay, I've got this pulled up, 2020 documentary.
And I have not been, I'm not like a huge binge guy, right?
Right.
Like I don't love watching just episode after episode after episode. There were 3 episodes of this available when we started, and like I could not watch them fast enough. It is so fascinating. I have not been this into a non-sports documentary since The Jinx, the Robert Durst one from HBO. That kind of like one of the kind of kicked off the whole.
It was one of them. One of the OG
like, true crime
obsessions.
You know,
the one where he wanders into the fucking bathroom with the microphone on at the end
and kind of admits the whole thing. It's just absolute insanity.
Psycho.
So, are you familiar with Nexium? Do you remember this hitting the news cycle?
No, it's NXIVM is how it's spelled.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally unfamiliar with this. Never heard of it.
Let me just give you and the Clam fam a brief breakdown of what this was and why it kind of made news cycles.
Okay.
And why it was kind of a big deal. So, Nexium as a whole is like it is a business of sorts, and it has many little smaller like companies and tiers and all sorts of things going on with it. All of it revolving around self-help and like fulfilling one's true potential.
Almost sounds like Scientology a little bit.
So there are a lot of parallels to Scientology.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. It also turns out that it's kind of a pyramid scheme.
It actually,
the whole thing.
On their Wikipedia page, it literally starts with, Nexium is a self-described American multi-level marketing company based near Albany, New York.
Yes. So it's also a lot of MLM pyramid scheme type stuff. It gained a lot of popularity over from 2005 to like 2018. And in so doing, it was based out of Albany, New York. Some of the original kind of people like that kind of made waves and had a hand in like kind of making it bigger had some ties to Hollywood. So a few B-C list level actors and actresses ended up as part of Nexium in various capacities.
Interesting.
So like Kristen Crook from like some WB shows like Smallville, I believe. Allison Mack, a couple of the actors from Battlestar Galactica, like Grace Park. And so, like nobody hugely famous.
More random B-C list.
But random
actors.
B-C listers ended up participating in this whole thing. And then it all blew up that another piece of this onion was that the leader guy also was kind of running like a whole harem sex cult thing as well.
Keith Raniere.
As a piece of this. Keith Raniere, yes.
Raniere.
So, the women being part of this secret society sex cult where they were having sex with the Keith Raniere guy is kind of the big salacious piece of this, right? That's what made the news. That's why it was so. That's why it like drew so much attention.
Okay.
And so that's what I think if you know the story, when you think of Nexium, that's what you think about. And what the first 2 episodes of this documentary do so well is that piece of it's coming. And so what they do instead is they spend 2 hours basically showing you why Nexium was so attractive to people and like almost selling you on Nexium.
Okay, I kind of like that angle.
And then it's slowly in the second hour kind of like you start to see where you're like, wait, that sounds like a pyramid scheme. Oh, wait. Oh, that's weird.
So
that's
almost
weird.
in the way it would happen to you if you were naturally sucked in as a person.
I was talking to another friend about this, and we were both saying like after the first episode, you're like, damn, that sounds good, man. That sounds pretty good.
I'm in.
And so it's just so well done. It's fascinating. This Keith Raniere guy is just like on a different. I really can't do it justice. You just have to go watch this documentary if you're interested in this type of stuff.
And it's on HBO.
It's on HBO, and it is
called The Vow.
Like most of these guys that end up in this leadership position, right? They're so narcissistic. They're all ego, which is generally what also is like their demise, right?
Yeah.
Because it's the hubris. Well, the other part of why this documentary is so good is because Keith was encouraging and suggesting everybody to record every conversation and film everything.
Oh, so this is sort of like that one. There was another one where it was like, why would you record all this? Oh my God, it's slipping my mind.
It was yeah, no, I was
gonna kill me, but
we were just talking about this because it's one
of the documentaries of late was one where you were like, wait, why was the person having them record everything that was going to end up being so fucking like damning in
Yeah.
criminal court eventually.
Yeah. So same thing here, basically. Like, he thought that all of this was...
it was Tiger King.
Yes, Tiger. Yes, duh.
It was like,
yes.
why the hell?
Yeah. Thank you.
Why the hell does he have cameras rolling all
All
of
the
the
time.
time when he's doing so much shit that is clearly
They've
illegal?
literally recorded and have on film the chick getting her arm bitten off.
Yes, like what the fuck? Anyway, same boat.
Same thing here, where he is so convinced and confident that everything that they're doing is world changing and globe changing and like must be seen and documented so that future generations and people can like learn and embody what they're giving.
Okay.
So everything is just on tape. And it's just...
So you get a ton of behind-the-scenes access to the madness.
Yes.
It's funny, the Wikipedia starts out as the self-described American multi-level marketing company based near Albany, New York, which offers personal and professional development seminars through its executive success programs of large group awareness training. Then it's like, the company has been widely described as a cult and is alleged to have been a recruiting platform for a secret society, variously called DOS, DOS, or The Vow, in which women were branded and forced into sexual slavery. So from the first sentence to the second, things change quite a bit.
Yeah, you get the kind of picture there. But yeah, man, if you're a doc person, even with no knowledge or some knowledge of Nexium and ESP and Keith Raniere and the whole shebang, this is a must watch.
Very interested in Nexium, especially to hear that you've been binging it uncontrollably.
Yeah, man, it was a big TV weekend for me. I wrapped up I May Destroy You, which again, phenomenal television show. Like probably definitely it's a top 3 show of the year. It's just an auteur vision that dives into topics and touches on them in a way that I didn't think was possible to do in a television show. Shares some strands with shows like Dave and Atlanta and Fleabag. Just in the way that it's kind of like you can tell that it's like one person's kind of singular storytelling angle, and then it just reinvents the wheel completely to like dive into so many, murky bodies of water, essentially. So I did that, and then I was watching Yellowstone, and then I started The Boys, and we had Lovecraft Country, and there was golf, and I mean it's just been really insane.
Golf on the TV.
Golf on the TV.
Did DJ win?
Oh, he did. He
Sports.
sure did.
Is that it for the big tips?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mostly wanted to touch on The Vow, and then just also talk about how we've gotten ourselves into a sticky situation here.
I'm all sticky. Billy Costa. Okay, well then let's talk about The Boys.
Let's talk Boys.
Season 2, Episode 1. The boys are back in town, and there are a lot of changes occurring from Season 1 to Season 2. The first of which obviously being that, what was it, Madeline? Whatever the main chick at Vought.
Yes.
Voight?
Stillwell? Was it Stillwell?
Stillwell? Madeline Stillwell?
Or is that from Arrested Development? Sitwell?
Sally Sitwell.
Sally Sitwell?
Oh, God. Her dad's the one whose eyebrows fall off into the candy bowl. Well, I hope you got an entire different bowl of candy beans.
He's an alpaca.
Yeah. What's it actually called? Alopecia?
Alopecia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got Gus from Breaking Bad now in charge of Voight. Vought.
How many episodes did you watch?
1.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, you watched 2?
No, I only watched 1.
Oh, yeah, I watched 1 episode. Okay. Yeah. Okay, we're on the same page.
I only made it to 1.
Yeah. We got a new soup.
Yes.
What's her name? She uses social media. She goes live. That's all I know.
Her name is very similar to Starlight, isn't it? Stormfront? Isn't it Stormfront?
Stormfront, I believe. And she's like live on the gram, fucking.
She's going live.
Just announcing her presence.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Obviously, the problem there being that nobody asked permission of Superman.
Yeah, right.
Look, Superman needs to sign off on everything.
Homelander needs the final word. Yeah.
I fucking love that this dude is just evil Superman, though.
Let's talk about Homelander here real quick.
Yeah.
Because he shines brightly in this first episode back.
Like a diamond.
And I gotta say, they are doing I'm truly like he is in Joffrey Baratheon territory.
Oh, he's so hateable, dude. Oh my God.
He is working his way towards being the most hateable person I've ever seen on TV. Like, it's incredible.
When he smacks the deaf dude's ears into exploding them.
Yeah.
After playing up the empathetic card, which is something we saw him do this in season 1 to play like, oh yeah, I'm into your idea, and then like commit a heinous atrocity.
Yes.
But this, like, they made his hair more blonde. Like, they changed his hair up a little. It's just he's a little more hateable. Him and Starlight's hair is, like, very much matching. They're, like, presented together in public all the time. And then to see him, like, go full, oh, yeah, this is a really good idea. I'm loving this. This is great. And then just to smack on that dude, it was like, yes, he is truly, the guy playing him is crushing. He's so hateable.
He is so incredibly hateable. So fantastic job there. And then I just my big kind of takeaway from episode 1 of The Boys here was this show really, really wanted to remind you that they are going to hit you in the face with over-the-top violence and gore.
Oh, you mean how, like, when we saw that dude's face get ripped in half from jaw to jaw, just
from the jaw to jaw, like, just pull apart, and then, like, a full-on head explosion.
We have Mortal Kombat, like, finish him. Fatalities taking place every 10 minutes.
And I can't, I'm not totally sure. It's certainly like a visual language of the show. It's very much the style of it to be like that graphic novel, comic book style.
Violence,
just like incredible violence. But it's also, some piece of it is kind of commentary, right? Isn't it kind of like, because this show wants to take what we think about and know about, what we think we know about superheroes and be like, oh, is that what you think you know? Because if superheroes were real, this is what it would actually look like.
Right.
Like, these people with these insane powers would be committing heinous acts of violence. And what do those violent acts look like? They don't look like in
normal violence.
In the Avengers, when a whole city gets fucking demolished and like 4 people die. No. Like, lots of people are dying horrible, horrible deaths.
I mean, it's also not like
regular. People, you know what I mean? Like, that isn't that? Don't you kind of get the sense that that's what it's saying?
No, absolutely. It's not regular human violence.
Because this is what it would look like, and it's awful.
When you see, like, for instance, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, Yellowstone, like Rip and Casey fighting in Yellowstone.
Yeah.
That's just like 2 guys throwing punches, normal human violence. Then you watch The Boys, and it's like a dude's face getting ripped in half, or a woman's head exploding and disappearing instantaneously, or a dude getting his arm hacked off for pay and then growing back a new one instantaneously. It's like,
you want to jump off my dick?
It's a comment for $1,000. Suck your cock for $1,000. There's a Big Lebowski line. It's definitely a commentary on how that violence would be different, but also just like our obsession with violence as a country and sort of as a society and just as a human people. Like, there's multiple layers to that for sure.
Yeah.
But it also is a very stylistic element of the show, and it fits very much into like that, like you said, the comic book violence, like the comic books that brought it.
Right.
That were for adults when we were little kids. Not like Spawn and shit. Not like the fucking comic books.
No, yes, like Spawn, I think.
That's what I'm saying. Like Spawn and shit.
Oh, like Spawn, yes.
Not like the shit that we were,
Not like an X-Men.
Yes.
Yeah.
X-Men didn't have people's heads exploding, didn't have faces being ripped in half. It's adult graphic novel style violence.
Yeah, it is definitely adult. So then just to touch on this new superhero, we see Homelander. The guy essentially operates in his evil way all behind closed doors, right? Because he is a public-facing presence and his outward persona has to be
good,
perfect and clean and good, everything he does to get his way is behind closed doors.
Yes.
So actually, because this show definitely wants to like keep it real and put you into this world where it's like, this is what it would be like if superheroes actually existed. They have to keep it all 100 like that. And so I loved this little wrinkle of like, oh, well, what if superheroes were using Instagram? And like, you neuter him as soon as you put him on as soon as you go live with Homelander.
He can't
do anything.
Tell you to go fuck yourself, explode your head. He can't freak out.
Yeah.
on Gus Esposito or Giancarlo Esposito's character, who is Mr. Edgar, is the new head of Vought. Yeah, no, you're exactly right. She completely disarms him in that moment. Stormfront does by being live on whatever Facebook, Instagram, whatever she's live on.
Yeah.
At that point.
So I thought that was like a cool twist, and I'm sure
probably a tale of things to come as well.
Yes,
I would
totally.
assume.
And I'm getting the feeling like that this new soup will be kind of. It looks like her personality is going to be very public facing like that, where she's like engaging with the fans and going live and like all over social
Which is problematic for Homelander, as he does so many things that he certainly does not want footage of being distributed anywhere, especially not live.
Yeah. So I think this show does an incredible job, even just, I mean, obviously with season 1, but even just through this first episode of kind of like talking about violence and celebrity in the real world, and how that kind of would like, how it is true with some of the things that we see from our own celebrities, and how it would be true if like some of these superpowers and superheroes were real things.
Oh, for sure. So Mr. What's his name? Esposito's character that I just said.
Edgar.
Mr. Edgar, the new head who hired Stormfront without getting permission, then explains, of course, that he doesn't need permission from anybody, right? That Homelander essentially put them all in a very precarious situation because they are not a superhero company. They are a pharmaceutical company, and he took their most valuable asset and distributed it to all these terrorist organizations in season 1 in an effort to make the superheroes a necessary part of the American military, right? They wanted to get these military contracts and funding and be a part of the American military image and actually like doing battle-wise. So just an interesting wrinkle there, and it'll be interesting to see how Homelander handles Mr. Edgar in this season. Obviously, not a great start to their relationship based on what we see in episode 1. Whether he will get handled in a similar way that his prior boss did. We also see him drinking some of the milk.
Breast milk.
The breast milk. You made my day. And that was left over. He had one bottle left.
Chappelle Show?
Yeah. And he clinks the bottle. He's playing P. Diddy, Puff Daddy. Clinks the bottles together. This shit's 100% Cambodian, yo.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. After he says they have to go into town and get him some Cambodian breast milk or he won't open up the studio. Anyway, we see that moment where he finds the one more bottle of milk that he has left from her and like heats it up with his eyes, and he's like, it's a sexual thing when he's drinking it, and then the new like assistant walks in on him, and there's just this, God, he's hateable. Just so evil. Obviously, the boys themselves, our squad, very much hanging underground, trying to stay off the map. Now the most wanted people in the United States, as it is explained by the Butcher at the end when he returns to the squad. We don't know where the fuck he's been. We don't know what he's been up to. Into season 1, what happens? The Butcher finds out.
You tell me what happens there, because
at the end of season 1,
I felt like they kind of wiped that scene. They kind of said meh with that scene.
Yeah, but for a purpose. Because obviously that was a massive reveal. That not only was his wife still alive, but that she had a child with Homelander.
How does that all happen? Does Homelander take him there?
Yes. Homelander drops him off in the front yard and like makes him see it.
Okay.
He shows him, hey, look, here's your woman.
Yeah.
And by the way, she has a soup child.
But then like 2 minutes later, he's showing up at her house again, and she's like, what are you doing here? Like she hasn't seen him in forever.
Yeah, because we don't know how much time has passed between that moment and what we're presented with in episode 1.
True. Okay.
And obviously, when the Butcher rolls in at the end of this episode, it's a very big moment. Like, holy shit, he's back. Nobody had any clue where he was.
Yeah.
And was almost not expecting him back.
So it's possible that this has been like a year, even.
Maybe. Who knows?
6 months minimum.
We're going to get a good feel for that next episode, and I'm betting we start to fill in the pieces with what's gone on with the Butcher since that moment.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's been framed for the murder of the head of Vought, former head.
Yes.
And
I'll blow you straight to bollocks.
God, his accent, man. It's like, it's so over the top.
That's the accent of the guy playing him in the
oh, yeah. The TV recreation,
the
reenactment they're showing. Yes. Which is hilarious because somehow the Butcher's actual accent is more over the top even than the dude playing him on TV when he rolls in at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
I mean, all in all, it was a hot start. The boys, they had that one ally within the CIA?
Yes.
And
the deputy director of the CIA.
Who was a huge part of season 1 in making sure that the Butcher and her, they had a close relationship, that they stayed on course and sort of helped them with this and that. She doesn't survive episode 1. They're out having a meeting in public and her head explodes.
Yeah. Did you get the sense? I feel like that whatever had been lodged in her head almost had like a trigger.
So you think that was a timed, some kind of explosive?
No, I think it was basically set to. She makes that connection where she's like, "Oh wait, so Vought could be the one that blah 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 that like brought in the terrorist or whatever," and her head explodes. So either somebody was listening.
That's what I got the impression.
Or the implant in her head was
triggered by whatever.
Yeah, like knew to listen for those types of words, and as soon as she said them, exploded.
The feeling I got was that she was being watched, specifically her, by a soup.
Okay.
Whether or not we know which one it is, or if we've been introduced to this soup, who knows? For the purposes of making sure she did not get too far onto their trail.
Right. The only thing that I had, like, I guess that I wasn't fully tracking there is that if that was the case, if somebody was actively watching and listening,
then why not kill all of them?
Yeah. Then why didn't those guys, the most wanted people ever, are right there? Why wouldn't they take all of them?
Well, and what's our main guy's name?
Huey.
Getting back into the boys. Apologies. As Huey says repeatedly in the back of the van, "Are our heads going to explode? Are our heads going to explode?" Like, why didn't their heads explode? Just her head explodes. Again, cliffhanger that we're going to find out more about in season 2, episode 2, hopefully. In the cut. So they dropped 2 episodes up front.
3
episodes up front, and then we're going to get, what is it?
We'll get number 4 on Friday, I believe.
And just 1 a week the rest of the way?
I believe that's correct.
Okay. For some reason, I was thinking 3 up front, 2 every week the rest of the way.
I mean, you could be right. I don't know.
Doesn't matter. Point is this. We're going to be covering as we can. As Barrett said up front, we have bitten off quite a bit to chew here in this current iteration of OCC with 3 shows, The Boys, Lovecraft Country, and Yellowstone. But we're going to make it happen. One way or the other.
We're going to do we're going to do our darndest.
Obviously, we're covering all of The Boys season 2. I just don't know how many episodes we'll be through next week. Whether it'll be just the 2nd episode or perhaps through the 3rd as well.
Yeah.
We will see and try to keep y'all updated on social media. But regardless, very stoked that the boys are back in town, that this show has returned. It is among my favorites on television. Season 2 started hot with basically a setup episode, but brought us back all the elements that we enjoyed from season 1, including the utterly ridiculously gritty violence.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there was anything else that we needed to specifically touch on here, but I think we pretty much got it.
New soup. There are still soup terrorists running around. Yeah. Black noirs out there, like ripping them in half
ripping
and
faces
shit.
Off, yeah.
New head of the company, Mr. Edgar. And CIA chick's head explodes. She's gone. Butcher returns at the end of the episode.
Yeah.
That's basically what it's. Starlight and Huey have
they're
continuing their secret relationship, sort of.
Yeah, but not together. Like
they're not together. No, but they're
sad. You can tell he's
they're
pining for each other. They really are.
He's having a hard time.
I hope those 2 kids figure it out.
Huey's got nothing left. Nobody's left. His dad's gone. His girl's gone. She got run through. Oh, I love that the idiot drunk is out there and wherever the fuck they put him last season. The fish man.
Oh, yes, the Deep.
The Deep is still out there, and they're trying to intervene with this cat.
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting little thing that we've got going. I don't know. I couldn't quite tell what's going on there with, like, Eagle Ray or Eagle King or whatever his name, Eagle Arrow.
The guy who's got the bow and arrow?
Yeah, and tells the story about how a quiver can only hold so many arrows.
His therapist is there and shit,
yeah,
like
that
talking,
was pretty great.
Trying to keep him from the negative self-talk and keep him talking positively about his quiver and his arrows. Oh, that was good stuff. Anyway, yeah, excited for the Boys season 2 and really enjoyed episode 1. We will talk more next week. Just don't know how much yet. Again, stay tuned. Keep watching The Boys on Amazon, and we'll move on from there to Lovecraft Country.
Yeah.
Season 1, episode 4, which, as Barrett alluded to at the top of the pod, things have started to get a little weird here in terms of what the hell are we doing with this show?
So that's a great question. And also, this was just a bad episode of television.
This is just an Indiana Jones adventure episode where they go through a bunch of booby traps and shit.
This was, Indiana Jones times The Goonies times The Night at the Museum and times National Treasure.
Now, the only thing I would note is those are all white stories. Like, white people have gotten a ton of adventure movies and television shit like this. You don't remember a whole bunch of, like, black adventure stories like this. Yeah. So, in that vein...
No, and that's a great point, because that's definitely what they even say that up front in the very first episode. Tick is reading John Carter from Mars, which is this white dude that gets to go on a great adventure, and I think he even says, he's like, I want to go on an adventure like that. Mm-hmm. And so that's clearly where they went here in this episode, is that he and his team with Letty and Montrose are getting to go on this adventure. But it was just, I don't know, man. Like, I was bored as hell for this hour of television. Like, really bored.
Yeah.
Did you feel that? Was I tired?
No, I mean, I wasn't necessarily bored. I just kept finding myself, like, I'm searching for more, like, connection with these characters and what they're striving for here. All right, like, obviously as a white dude, there's a bit of a disconnect already. Mm-hmm. But watching this show, I'm obviously rooting for Tick, but I'm not clear on, like, it's like, okay, so what is he does he have magical blood in him? Like, what's the deal with the stupid family, the Braithwaites or whatever the fuck? And they weren't even really involved in this episode, except that other than that they sent them, the Braithwaite chick sent them on this mission to go get these missing pages. It just seems very lacking in depth for me at the moment. I'm like, okay. I mean, first couple episodes, we have this incredible setup, sort of. Mm-hmm. It's like there's two elements. The monsters of reality, racism, etc., and then there's the monsters of the sci-fi world of Lovecraftian nature.
Yeah.
And then this past couple episodes, we've just sort of been like, now what? Like, you gave us our setup, but, like, where are we going with this? All right, so you got the pages, but that was the whole episode? Like, is the whole setup of season 1 to get Tick to where now he has access to, like, powers or whatever? Because if so, like, that just feels like a very, very, very slow, not even a slow burn, just a slow walk towards something that seems sort of inevitable.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that Tick wants these powers. Like, there's obviously... You know, this team in this family of Montrose and Letty and Hippolyta and Atticus, you know, they want to protect themselves, right? Like, that's what they're trying to figure out how to do, is survive, essentially, mm-hmm. which they obviously have to do in their real lives, and now they're trying to do on this, like you said, this other level. Adventure, science fiction, horror level.
Magic.
But yeah, I don't know. There was I'm not totally sure what it was. I just honestly, I think all of the mythology with, like, the Sons of Adam and the Braithwaites and the magic behind that and the lore and, like, this vault, it all just,
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, none of it is very, like, maybe it's because it doesn't feel very original, but it's just not that, it wasn't that compelling to me. And so to dedicate an entire episode towards, like, tracking it down and
the pages, these missing pages,
missing pages, it just did not hit for me, and I was really surprised, and I because I've really liked the show up until now, and even the trailer for, like, the next episode looks good and looks compelling, but this episode was just like a total miss for me.
Yeah, and it just feels weird not knowing enough about the Braithwaites through 4 episodes. What we get the tie-in sort of, but why? Like, why does it matter? Where is it leading us? He's going on adventures for, like, this random lady who he's met for maybe 5 minutes, who's explained to him very vaguely that he has a connection to this magical white racist family, and now he's doing missions for them. Like, that's basically what's happened through 4 episodes. It's an adventure family. Letty.
I'm still confused on some of the Braithwaite stuff too. Like, what's our female? What's our blonde chick's name?
Christina
Braithwaite. So she comes over to the Winthrop mansion. and wants to get in but can't, thanks to the spiritual magic that Letty and Tick had helped to put on the house.
It's like in True Blood, you have to invite the vampires
Yeah,
in.
but she was there for the orrery, Hyman's orrery, which is the solar system thingy that Hippolyta now has. The big gold.
Why did she have it? She pulled it out of the house?
She saw it. She found it while
she was like, this
at
is
the
dope.
party. And she swiped it clearly. But so why did Christina need Letty to buy the house? Why didn't she just go to the house to look for the orrery if that's what she needed?
She wanted her to take care of the
demon problem?
Possession situation.
Did she?
I think that was the whole reason.
Felt like she was there to talk to Hyman. Why wouldn't she's on the same team as Hyman or whatever the evil scientist Dr. Racist man's name is?
That's what I'm saying. It's very unclear. Like, is Christina or what are all the other Braithwaites gone? Is the dad actually gone? Is it just her? Is she the only one operating? What does she want with Tick and Letty? Like long term, why does she need them to be making these plays for her? She seems like a very capable and powerful individual. And why are they so willing to do it for her other than for I get the self-discovery angle, but it just seems like so far he hasn't been given enough to be motivated.
They clearly feel, and this is where some of the disagreement I think comes between Montrose and then Letty and Tick. Letty and Tick feel like they don't have a choice. Like these Braithwaite people are going to be on their tail and after them to get them to do stuff as long as they can, basically. They've got something that Christina Braithwaite clearly wants. And that's Tick's blood, his ability to access various things that she doesn't seem to be able to. And Montrose is the one that's like, I know a lot of this stuff already. You need to step away from it and get the hell out, basically.
And we don't know how much he knows. He's like yelling out shit that we're like, whoa, bro, you seem to have a lot of knowledge about this.
And then at the end of this hour, we do get the twist, again, where we see Montrose basically being like, no, y'all not going to get this. And so he kills the cipher.
Again, through four episodes, there are so many. Wait, why?
Yeah, so that they cannot interpret the pages and get magical spells for themselves.
Because he thinks that's a bad idea. Why, we don't know yet, I guess. He knows more than we do.
He's seen and knows stuff that we're not totally up to speed on, and thinks that he's doing the protecting there, I think.
And again, Montrose is Omar from The Wire. Atticus is father. Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot of momentum for me. I'm not like, man, can't wait to see what happens with this or this character. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
Lovecraft country.
Yeah. Again, we talked about this a little bit last week, and especially after week 2, but the magic of it all just doesn't seem to be hitting in
it's missing for me entirely.
Right?
I do not give a fuck about the magic part. Or the Braithwaites or any of that.
Whenever you introduce some type of mythology or new universe or new rules or anything like that to a world that you're inviting an audience into, it has to make sense. It has to be interesting. It has to be intriguing for us. And right now, the missing pages of the Book of Adam are not doing anything for me.
Even just the name of the shit, like the Book of Adam, I'm just like, I don't know. Care.
So I don't know. I'm gonna watch the next episode and probably finish out the season. Kind of probably in a His Dark Materials situation here, where I'm in too deep now.
Oh, I hope not. I don't look. Okay, I want to pause. I don't feel like I'm there. I'm not watching a show where
you didn't finish His Dark Materials.
Yeah, because 2 episodes in, I was like, this is garbage. There's no potential. I hate every character.
Yeah, Billy Costa. But I'm saying I had to finish. I had to finish season 1.
I know. What I'm saying is Lovecraft Country does not deserve yet to be thrown in that
His
boat.
Dark Materials boat.
No, but we are nearing the shores of me being like, damn it, this is just a show I'm watching out of obligation now. Instead of because I enjoy it and I like the story and I can't wait to see how it ends. It is because we're in too deep. It's basically I'm at the point where I'm like, please God, turn it around so that I don't feel like at the end this was a failure instead of a success.
Yeah, no, yes, totally. And I think it was really a shame to lose Courtney B. Vance. I hope that because of the magic of it all, that he's not done for, although kind of seems like he is.
Wasn't a whole lot of promise to him coming back in this episode.
His character was so good.
Yeah.
He, Courtney B. Vance, obviously top-notch actor. He was fun to watch. The relationship between he and his wife and daughter was really, that hummed. I loved that. It just, we'll just see. I'm on standby with this show. I was very disappointed with this episode, and I need a little bit more. From it.
Last question, and then we move on to Yellowstone. What the hell is the deal with the Braithwaite gentleman seducing?
They're clearly going to they want to use her. They want to turn her into an asset against Letty and Tick, I think is what's happening there.
And do you think that Braithwaite and Christina Braithwaite, I'm assuming our brother and sister, are on the same page?
I do.
Okay, so Christina probably bad.
Right now, yes, Christina bad.
But they just don't have a choice other than to go along with what she's currently asking them to do. That's where we're basically at.
Yes.
Okay.
And I don't know if you caught this, but I think they made reference to this, but she probably kind of set it up so that her dad would drop the vulnerability spell, and
she clearly wanted to take the reins.
Yeah.
Her brother, the younger generation, was looking to get out from under their father.
Yeah.
And start running the show. To what end? Again, we don't know yet, which is, it's just been 4 hours, and for me to not have a lot of the why am I watching this or where are we going is troublesome. But anyway, we'll see how they recover with episode 5 next week. Hopefully they recover well. I don't remember if we have 10 or 8 episodes in this season or what the fuck we're looking at in terms of Lovecraft Country, but regardless, they have a few 5 episodes left to try to get us back into a place where we feel like this is worth it. And obviously, what do we call it? Premier television.
Prestige
television that deserves coverage on Oysters, Clams, and Cockles. We'll see next week how they do with episode 5. But until then, let's discuss Yellowstone, season 1, episodes 6 and 7, where the body count once again starts to rise. People are dropping like flies.
Big body count on this show, Ross.
Man.
I think we can safely assume on that one that we're just going to have bodies dropping. Let the bodies hit the floor.
Let the bodies hit the floor. Yes. We start off episode 6 with Casey facing off against a bear, then just getting into a straight-up mano-y-mano fist fight with Rip Wheeler.
That was fun. There were a lot of really fun, punchy sound effects there.
Dude, they have the best... Man, whatever that one... It's like
1960s Batman.
That noise when one dude socks another dude, if you get the right one, it's like something like it gives you one endorphin.
Yeah.
I noticed half the people in episode 6 have at least one black eye. Like everybody's just constantly getting punched in the face. So just to sort of run through 6 and what occurs, we find out why Casey got branded, which was a big moment. And it was because he got Monica pregnant and wanted to marry her and have a child while John Dutton, his father, obviously the head of Yellowstone, the patriarch in our situation here, wanted him to get an abortion. He refused. He gets branded. John Dutton is explaining to Monica how this... Monica at the end of episode, 5, obviously saw how the branding takes place with Ryan Bingham.
Correct.
Their newest bad boy on the ranch, who gets into a bit of a love situation. Sparks are flying with Beth in episode 7. She sees that, then she goes and asks him, what's with the branding, yada yada. He explains how Casey got his brand, and then she says so after he said no to getting an abortion or not being with me, you had the Cowboys do it, and John's like, nope, that one I did myself.
Did you get the feeling that John Dutton was telling the whole story there?
That the basic story was he got this woman pregnant and he didn't want her. Maybe I definitely got the feeling well, damn, that's a hell of a, there had to have been something else to this.
It felt almost like he was saying that
To try to guilt her?
No. Like almost like the opposite. Like he wanted to give her, like allow her that room for the hatred. Right? Like he almost wanted to give her like a great explanation for why Casey was something to almost like bond them together in a way. And I know
Casey
that doesn't,
and Monica?
yeah, and I know that doesn't totally make sense as to like why he would kind of like turn that around on himself. I just and
it is a story of Casey standing up for her and their child.
And I could be way off. Maybe that's exactly what happened. It's exactly the way it went down. He was, he's guilty about that. He made bad dad decisions, right?
And
like he should have been way more accepting, and that's why he's so good with Tate or whatever. There was just something felt a bit like missing from that. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit more come from that story. It just felt too easy to get, like, we've spent 5-6 episodes being like, damn, Yellowstone, why does Casey have the brand? And then they just like
tell us flat out.
And then they just tell us flat out. And it was like, for a very noble reason that doesn't seem like, I don't know. There just seemed like there is probably more there.
And you got to think of the context.
He stood up for this girl that he got pregnant and was making like, a valiant decision to be like, we're keeping this. I'm marrying her. We're doing.
Where a lot of old school dads would say, you got that girl pregnant, you're marrying her.
Right.
John Dutton was the opposite. And, there's some probably racial undertones to that as well.
Yes, definitely. Yep.
But all in all, no, it did feel like there was certainly, especially considering the context of by the end of episode 6, Monica Dutton gets knocked out cold, trying to break up a school fight that ends with her having a hematoma.
Continuing the Monica conversation, really, they are really just like throwing you around like a rag doll with this storyline because she looks like she is bleeding out of her skull with a fatal injury at the end of episode 6.
Yeah, I thought she was going to die.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to further, destroy Casey's character basically by having yet another person fall off.
And then in the show, then she like kind of recovers, but now she's having like motor skill and short memory.
It's a bad brain injury.
Short memory
loss.
Yeah. So
what the fuck?
I don't know. Really weird stuff.
We needed another dramatic angle here. We needed Monica to take a fucking head injury.
6 and 7. Now I'm gonna say this I don't mean this in a negative way. I mean it in an objective way.
Okay.
But this show does remind me a little bit of a show I watched earlier this year called Outer Banks.
That's not what you want.
No, it's fine.
All right.
I talked about how much I liked Outer Banks.
True.
But this
is wildly popular television.
Yeah, but this is a soap opera.
It is
it's not subtle plot changes. It is major crisis after major crisis after major crisis.
It's very dramatic. Yes.
Super dramatic. There's no, you know what I mean? Like
she went to break up a fight between two teenagers and ends up literally with a fucking severe brain injury.
Yes. Yeah.
Because she fell and hit her head on the concrete like the clown in Billy Madison. And then we have to watch her just like laying there as her kid's like, Mommy?
Yeah.
Mommy? We have to watch later after she passes out trying to descend a flight of stairs.
Oh, yes, the pass out. There's the recovery, then the pass out, then the... Yeah.
Then her dad is like, please, God, don't take them both. And you're just like, this is the most depressing shit. Casey's life sucks. Again, I've said it before, but this guy can't catch a break.
Yeah.
Then he's in the fucking hospital trying to fight hospital workers for talking to his son the wrong way.
Yeah.
I love how in Yellowstone, if you enter a room and you are suspicious that perhaps someone in that room may be doing something you don't agree with, you don't ask questions, you just throw a punch.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like it is so over the top with the drama and the crises. But that's fine, man. It worked for Outer Banks. It works for Grey's Anatomy, and Yellowstone backs it up with like beautiful scenery and good acting and
Now that's where I would argue the difference. This is unlike the two shows you would use as a comparison. While it is incredibly dramatic and has these elements of soap opera for sure, and like no one ranch can have all those problems. You know, it's like
right.
But wildly, it's like just so much better acted and well written
Yeah.
than like an Outer Banks or a Grey's Anatomy. Not that those shows aren't well done, just this is trying to be more prestige than those two are.
It is trying to be more prestige.
And is achieving that.
Which is why some of the high dramatics and like crisis after crisis after crisis after crisis are just a little bit, it's almost like a contrast, right? Because things aren't unfolding in more subtle ways.
Yeah.
And yet, we talk about how many crises and how many dramatic instances there are, and yet we're really moving slow on like the real estate development thing.
Yeah, but we got
two more episodes here.
Let's start to jump into like the remainder of what we saw in 6 and 7. So Thomas Rainwater's trying to buy up all of Yellowstone. What we find out essentially is that he wants everything that John Dutton has, right? He and Dan, the real estate guy, meet up in episode 7, which we'll get to in a second, but to sort of finish episode 6 out. Beth and Jamie Dutton go meet with the governor. Jamie Dutton is going to be running for attorney general. They're trying to decide if he should run as an independent. They have a lot of back and forth and conflict and argument there. The governor calls Beth a highly functioning alcoholic, calls her out for being emotionally frozen at the age she experienced the loss of her mother, calls her a 14-year-old girl who wants to bully the world. The governor, the female governor of Montana, we find out, is a bit of a badass. She says, quote, bullies need to be big, and I'm bigger than you, which was just a all-around, that whole scene. We haven't seen two strong females conflict. That was the first time we have in this show. But then Beth tells her, you sleep in my mother's bed again and I will ruin your career, because John Dutton has had a bit of a relationship going with this governor, obviously. She also says, and tell your son to grow up. He sounds like a real pussy. Beth has, again, just some of the best lines in the show week in and week out. Now, the governor also wants Jamie, and this is where you get a lot of the soap opera elements, to be in a relationship with, is that her daughter or just like her number 2 woman or right-hand girl, or who the fuck is that chick?
I don't know. But
is
this
Jamie
is another silly piece of the story.
Is this a beard situation? What the hell is this?
No. They're just like, hey, here's an assistant for you. She's really hot. And oh my God, look at that. She's into you. It seems to be happening so organically.
Well, but she tells
Good
her
job.
point blank. She's like, you are a single older man. It doesn't look good. You need a woman basically for the campaign trail.
Yeah, but so is she like a straight up prostitute? Is she actually into him? Because it certainly seems like it in the break room scene where she's like I want an idealistic politician. And he's like, I just want power and to protect my family name and I'll kill anybody that wants differently. And she's like,
my God, that gets me wet. That's the most idealistic thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, what the? Like,
and then she leaves the room like flustered.
Yes, like she's like,
it's not the room.
It's you.
It's you.
I mean, very, very funny scene there, honestly, because...
And he's like, whoa, I think I just got hard. It's like the stupidest fucking scene. No, that one was kind of funny, man. I was laughing at that element of it. But because I just don't get it. I'm like, because it's almost like they're trying to paint Jamie up in like is he gay? Is he not gay? Does he have a different sexual orientation? Yeah. What's his deal?
And they could totally still be going there, because there has been no bonage yet or anything.
No, and his relationship with his sister Beth is odd in
weird.
A way that like you get, it's just a weird element.
And he does seem interested in this new campaign manager, but I don't know. We'll just see. You're right.
Yeah, we will see what happens.
There's room for interpretation, I think, about what is going on with Jamie's sexuality, whether he's just kind of asexual, whether he might be gay, maybe not. Like, we don't know yet.
We might find out with this chick though.
So
she does have the seductive skills it takes to bring down a Jamie, in my opinion.
Yeah. So, but yes, some pretty funny kind of.
It's the room. It's not the room.
It's not the room.
What is it?
What is it about break rooms?
Yeah, he has that awkwardness too. Like he clearly doesn't know how to exactly handle a woman type of situation thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, the governor also tells Jamie, the governor does, that there are concerns about John Dutton, his father's health. The cancer thing is leaked all over the place now. Basically, this fucking Cattle Mill Association's son, who's an oncologist, this guy can't keep his mouth shut. Worst cancer doctor of all time, telling everybody that John Dutton's got cancer. So now the kids are aware, right? Jamie and Beth approach John about the cancer. He says it's been removed. There's just more drama there. Again, you couldn't pack more problematic situations into one fucking television show, into one season if you tried. Oh, I'd made a note that the governor references a BLM issue.
Not Black Lives Matter, I don't think.
What year was season 1? I know we've answered.
2017.
So they reference a BLM thing that has nothing to do with Black Lives Matter. It's like a cattle thing or some shit?
I think so, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that's just even odder. I just remember being like, wow, that was a very, like, on-the-nose political reference to make. But then I was like, wait a minute. This season of this show came out a few years ago. Of course, Black Lives Matter existed then. Just I didn't know if it was something Yellowstone would touch.
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure BLM stands for something.
Bureau of Land Management.
Yeah, there you go.
I've used the Google, and I've solved the mystery.
Yeah. No, I caught that too, and it's weird. You hear BLM now, and it's obviously where your mind goes to. But I was pretty sure that it was something.
No, it's the Bureau of Land Management. There you go.
Something land related.
Well,
something cattle related. Something ranch related.
Now we know.
Yeah.
Now we know. Dutton gets into it with Beth later. John does. John and Beth get into it over the relationship with the governor, and John tells Beth she lost the right to bring up her mother to him a long time ago. Thomas Rainwater steps up and tells the governor he wants to be the face they run as the new, like, what I don't know what position they're trying to pick, but Dan doesn't work basically because he's too white and rich. And Rainwater is going to be the guy that works. They've found a reason to partner up. John Rainwater and our developer Dan, who Beth obviously humiliates and seduces throughout the last couple episodes.
I appreciated that we're going to the mat on negotiations there.
Oh yeah,
because it was very far fetched for our billionaire Californian with his highly priced fixer there to just be like, oh, yep, sounds good.
Shake hands.
Shake that hand.
Shake hands. And
deal.
his fixer
You got
in the
a deal,
background
buddy.
is like, hey, stop it. No, Dan. Damn it, Dan. What are you doing? Dan, stop. And Dan's like, shut the fuck up. I've got this.
Yeah. So to then kind of backtrack on that and have them
actually suss it out.
Negotiating. I appreciated that reality check.
Thank God. But yeah, so basically Rainwater wants to build a casino.
Because it definitely seems like a trap.
It does.
It's a trap.
It's a trap. It explains to Dan 275,000 square feet, 400 rooms in a hotel, about $300 million to build is what they want to do. And we'll get more into that in episode 7 in a second. To close out episode 6, there's a drone flying around Casey's property. So they go and throw rocks at it. And then one guy's like, I'm just going to shoot it, which is what everyone else in the world watching was thinking. Look at all these idiots throwing rocks. Everyone else has got a gun at every second of this show, and then suddenly they have to throw rocks at the drone. They chase down the drone. On the chase, did you notice they even, you're watching Casey and his boy chase down the car, the Ford, or the Forerunner or whatever, the Jeep Cherokee that was out there doing the drone thing. And they even pass up the meth van. They caused another one of the bodies Casey caught. And I'm watching going, my God, he's going to commit another murder. and then he finally learns a lesson. He finally is like, knocks the dude's shotgun away. The guy's like, I was aiming for the tires.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, but then what?
Still, you're right. He does show a little bit of restraint there. But
just the slightest bit, though.
But Casey, overall, this guy's a loose cannon.
Yes.
I feel like through 5 episodes, you're kind of giving this guy the benefit of the doubt. He's had it tough. You know, it has this fraught relationship with his father, just trying to look out for his family, yada, yada. But this dude needs to listen to the doctor and go take a breath, young man.
Just chill out.
You gotta chill out.
Hey, man, maybe
you can't be punching nurses and doctors. You can't be tracking down every single person that comes on your property trying to kill them.
No.
Like you can't. You just need you have to chill.
You've been accused of several murders in the past several weeks.
Yeah.
Casey. Maybe eat a bowl of Cheerios on the fucking couch.
But it also, I think this all kind of it does help explain why somebody like Rip is like, you just need to get yourself off this ranch and get out of here because you're nothing but trouble.
It does indeed.
And you know, so I guess that's just the Casey role right there, right? Is that he's a likable guy, seems to have a good heart and well intentioned,
just can't stop blowing it.
Can't get out of the shit.
Can't stop stacking bodies.
Speaking of stacking bodies, can I throw one thing at you real quick?
Throw it at my head, like the rock that they threw at the drone.
Aside from Rip leaving the docket there with the information on how the coroners could potentially tie the death of Monica's brother to Casey, we're now 7 episodes in, And nobody seems to give two shits about the fact that the eldest Dutton child died like 2 weeks ago.
In fact, when John brings it up, I don't remember if it was in 6 or 7, when he's at like the cattleman's ball or whatever, you kind of go, oh shit, yeah, I forgot about that. His oldest kid died like episode 1 or whatever the fuck. And yeah.
Just gets got in a land cattle battle. Classic CB, cattle battle.
And then we just moved on.
And
it's been all the drama. And it's just like so much packed in since.
This is a family that has dwelled for 30 years or 25 years on the death of the matriarch.
And they let that kid go
but
immediately.
Now we just, Lee, our oldest kid, my oldest son, my heir, the heir to the Dutton fortune and ranch, just dies, and you're not worried about that?
Which you would think to
this
John Dutton.
This man has cancer. The lawyer's son's not going to take over. Beth is a functioning alcoholic, and Casey is a loose cannon wild child with no restraint whatsoever. Like,
Can't
you're not
stop
a little bit
killing
more
folks.
stressed about the fact that you lost the one guy that could have taken over?
I'm wondering if we ever find out more about him, because we never even really knew about him, right? Like, we didn't really know shit about the oldest kid. He dies so quick, because he gets taken out episode 1, right? That's what starts the whole role of all this conflict.
Totally.
Anyway, last thing from episode 6, John does go fly fishing at the end of the episode, and he sees a woman. These 2 women are on vacation in Montana. They're fishing, right? They're canoeing. And we see him at the beginning of the episode, and one of those 2 women seems to be like a prosecutor or investigator of some kind.
Yeah, journalist,
and she's
police
talking about how,
officer,
she's like,
detective.
She's like, it's no different than New York City down here. It's crazy. These crimes, this organized crime, it's the exact same. And then at the end of the episode, she's like, floats right past John Dutton, and like, they look at each other, and the other guy fishing with Dutton is like, man, she really had an eye for you. And John's like, I haven't had a fly on this line in 20 minutes. And you're like, what the fuck are you doing out there then? And then as we said...
He's just casting.
Just casting over and over. A very concussed Monica, not doing well, does pass out at the end of the episode, has no heartbeat. You really think she might be dead again.
Yeah.
And then her dad's like, please, God, don't take them both. And then we're on to episode 7, which is just fraught with bears.
Yeah.
They're just everywhere.
Now,
is it the same bear the whole time? Is it a problem bear, Barrett?
Well, I'm not sure if it's the same bear.
I don't know
But
either.
the bears are a problem. And I actually had to read this because I didn't totally catch this. I'm not sure. Maybe you did. That you get a little bit of this with Dan's fixer mentioning the environmental protection agencies. She's going to do some research there. Obviously, Jamie gets served by the guy. That's the lawsuit that they're going after. But
again, in the most dramatic possible fucking fashion, he's served.
So I caught that moving the river being a primary source of food for the endangered species grizzly bear, is what the lawsuit was about. They moved the river. That's illegal because it affects a primary source of food for an endangered species.
So perhaps the bears are being pushed onto their property as a result.
That's the dot that I didn't totally connect. They moved the river onto their property, which is why they now have the bear problem. It's because the primary food source is now on their property, and that's why they got a bunch of grizzly bears now.
Gotcha.
So they created the problem for themselves.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, well, as you joked about at the front of the episode, John comes out, and there are a bunch of international tourists in a bus just on the middle of their land snapping photos of a grizzly from like 15 feet away, or a brown bear, I don't know, fuck it. And you're just like, what the hell's going on here? He fires a shot, sends them running all back to their bus. The one tourist does tell him no one man should have all that property. He says, this is America. We don't share land here. We find out Monica had a hematoma. They take off part of her skull. She's got a brain injury, though. Casey's life is hell. His kid has to be restrained because he wants to see his mom. So Casey just starts punching doctors and nurses, as we said. And when the doctor gets him out finally, and the doctor just goes, fucking cowboys.
Fucking cowboys.
I was like, that's how I feel watching every minute of this show. Like, somebody has to chill. Again, Jamie's running for attorney general, and he tells his like girl that they're trying to set him up with that he wants the opposite of change, that he wants power. And that's when she's like, that's the most hot and idealistic thing I've ever heard. Beth flashes back to the Christmas of 1996 to her first period, which was not, it went about as I expected. Beth's mother comes in and explains to her in a very, I guess, pessimistically realistic manner the role and strife of women in their lives and how this will change her from a girl to a woman, how men and boys will look at her differently. like she's somehow less or weaker today than she was yesterday, but she's not. She says you're stronger than all of them because if men were responsible for giving birth, the human race wouldn't have lasted 2 generations.
Yeah, so I thought this was an interesting scene for a couple of reasons. One, it just in a prior episode or 2 episodes ago, we watched Beth have a meltdown and like be borderline suicidal, remembering the death of her mom and how her mom looked at her with no love in her eyes whatsoever.
Literally blamed her for her death. Said,
right.
You did this, now you fix it.
Yeah.
And that was on the anniversary of her mother's death that Beth goes full alcoholic in the bathtub.
Then we have
shit.
this moment with them, and it is, to be sure, like overly tough. This is like an over-the-top amount of tough love from mom here to basically be like, I'm about to be a huge bitch to you for the rest of your life because that's the only way I know how to
harden you up.
How to harden you up so you can compete in a world dominated by men.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it like there's some truth to that, right? And there is also like there's some tenderness there as well, where they do kind of share that moment. They have the shared, experience of being a woman,
bond.
and there's a mother-daughter bond there, and so it's just like I don't know. It's almost like it needed to be even meaner to coincide with the fact that like Beth felt no love from her mom whatsoever.
And this is why I'm interested moving forward to get more scenes of young Beth and her mom, because this is clearly something they plan on doing a lot of. All right, they've got fucking what's the guy who's Josh Lucas?
Josh Lucas
is playing young John Dutton.
Yeah,
they wouldn't cast Josh Lucas.
Gretchen Mol is mom.
Gretchen Mol is the mom. Yeah. Another phenomenal actress. They wouldn't cast these roles like that unless they planned on repeatedly revisiting the past and those characters and to see how these children became the adults they did and how John Dutton and his wife and how they operated. So far we've gotten 2 scenes with the mother, right? The one where she point blank blames Beth for her death, and then the one where she's comforting her after her first period. So there are obviously a lot of gaps to fill in the Beth and her mother relationship to see exactly how fucked up things were.
Right.
Because this was more tender. You expect Beth's mom to come out hotter because we've only seen her the one way. What she brings is like a more subtle and realistic source of strength rather than like a just straight up like the scene of her mom dying after getting the horse dropped on her is one of the more brutal things I've ever watched. Like her directly blaming her child to her face is so fucked up. So this was that got me excited to see what more they can do with the flashbacks and the children and the development of those characters from a flashback perspective. And then just, again, being reminded that Josh Lucas plays young John Dutton, the dude from Ford versus Ferrari and so many other things that he's been good in. And he just has a real distinct face. And I love that casting job, by the way.
Yeah, very good casting job.
As we said last week as well. What else happens? Oh, Beth meets Ryan Bingham because she goes to ride a horse in a fit of rage. She's just going to get herself tossed off this horse over and over until she dies.
Yeah, real masochistic?
Masochistic, yeah. Or
That's
sadistic. I don't ever know which one it is.
One or the other.
Yeah.
But she better be careful out there because she gets buckarooed right onto her peanut, Ross.
She does indeed. Ryan Bingham and her got sparks, though.
Yeah. This has me worried for old Ryan Bingham. Because Rip
is watching.
And Rip is not a man to be trifled with. One of the things that I've learned.
It is. Yes, he is. As he cannot stop killing people or beating the shit out of everyone either.
I pray for our man Walker/Ryan Bingham here.
I worry he doesn't make it out this season, Barrett.
Do
you feel like Ryan Bingham's a long-term Yellowstone character?
I don't get the sense that Ryan Bingham was like, yeah, sign me up. I'll be a recurring character for as long as this show needs me.
It's not like I'm a musician who has a job to do. Yeah, you get the feeling he's not here long, maybe.
I do get that sense.
And I want to say up front, I have no idea. I have never seen a poster for season 2 or 3. I don't have any clue what happens. I have no idea if Ryan Bingham is a recurring character. Just going off of what we've seen so far, he doesn't look good for him.
It does not. No, it does not.
No.
I mean, his whole introduction and setup was like a little too winsome to and
here's a guy we're gonna kill off later.
Yeah,
it was almost like that. Yeah. As I said, John Rainwater and Dan are teaming up to take down John Dutton.
Tom Rainwater.
Excuse me, thank you. And the agreement they come to,
Tommy
Thomas
R.
Rainwater. Old TR. the agreement they come to, or what Dan wants, is basically Dan wants to own the hotel. Rainwater would own the casino because there's too many issues with Dan trying to get a reservation license to operate a casino. He obviously has no rights to that, but he can own the hotel. They're trying to find the split. What makes it work? They both want John Dutton gone. Dan and Thomas Rainwater working together, trying to see if they can make that happen. John Dutton gets back in the hospital, gets some more scans, as we mentioned earlier. Jamie Dutton is served on behalf of John Dutton by a random guy who, frankly, not great at his job. You shouldn't just be...
Yeah, don't be creeping around in windows.
Hey, man, don't press your face up against the window, then make a weird run for the door, then awkwardly have your hands behind your back. Like, are you trying to get shot by a Dutton? This is like, don't do this on the Dutton property 101. Press your face to the window, act like you've got a gat, and see if you can get offed. Just the worst service job of all time. But he does get served, again, for the river situation that has caused the bear issue. And then the last, 10 minutes of this episode is when we have more of the tourists situation occur.
Yeah, it really goes awry. Out of nowhere, Rip, who is also on the lookout. Now you got the other cowboys. They're looking for the bears. Old Jimmy, he gets buckarooed right onto his peanut. Has to climb a tree to get away from a bear.
No bears.
And then Rip is out there. He's
Jimmy's
helping
Ryan
out.
Bingham, right?
No, Jimmy is.
Jimmy's new guy.
Bad cowboy hat guy.
Jimmy's a new guy who cries.
Yeah. And then
Bad
Rip's
cowboy hat.
Rip's out there on his own, also doing bear reconnaissance, and happens across the two tourists hanging off a ledge, just about to fall off a cliff. Basically,
They got themselves into, as you called it, a real pickle.
a real pickle. Yes, and so only one of them speaks English. He tries to tell the woman who does speak English that he might only be able to save one of them. So, communicate that to your friend here. He tosses the rope down. It's like the swimming situation where, two people are, you cannot, it's why you gotta, and when you're saving somebody as a lifeguard, you basically have to hook them.
You hook them.
Yeah. With your arm around the neck.
And then you.
That's because you can't let them latch onto you. Or else
Right, they'll drown you, pull you down with you.
He does that with the rope pretty much. He's like, "Give me the rope, give me the." They're both trying to get in there. She ends up slipping and falling, and then he valiantly says, "I cannot live without this woman," and he lets himself go. And both tourists are dead.
So now we got two
falling
dead
off the cliff.
tourists.
And just right after that happens, the grizzly bear, he's right there. He runs at Rip. Rip has to shoot him between the eyes. Has to kill the grizzly.
Just another day on Clamstone.
Just another day on Clamstone.
Nothing dramatic or out of the usual at all.
Yeah, and then we get a little bit more of Monica, of course, is showing signs of short-term memory loss and lack of motor skills, depth perception, that type of thing.
It just doesn't feel like we needed to explore brain injuries on this show. I get that we're doing it. But it just, like, when they put the Monica wrinkle in, I was, like, as if we didn't have enough to play with. I was just like, God damn it. Like, can one of these things be, like, positive? Can we have one storyline that's just, like, breeding positivity throughout the rest of this shitstorm that is death and destruction? Maybe. We'll find out next week.
Yeah, I think we're going to wrap up season 1 of the old Clamstone.
Hell, you see the sun going down in the distance. It's time to throw on that old cowboy hat, get on that Mustang, and ride off into the sunset. Finish out season 1 next week.
Finish out season 1.
We got 2 more, right? There's
2 more.
9 episodes
2 more.
awkwardly in this one, so 8 and
more.
9 we'll cover next week. Close out Yellowstone season 1. Very excited to see how they... We all know they won't tie up all of the things we've been presented with this season, I hope. We hopefully realize that as a Clamstone...
Surely not.
Clamstone ranch.
Yeah.
But some of these things will be tied up. How many of these characters will remain by the end of our podcast next week? Only time will tell.
Anybody could go, Ross.
And
it's important to remember with this TV show and in your daily life, and that's why it's important that you take a moment anytime you get the chance to just soak up some of that sweet, fresh Montana air, look up at that big sky, and just say a word of gratitude to those beautiful, beautiful stars up there in the big sky country.
I think
and then get back on that Mustang and trot on back to your oversized property.
Take care of those goddamn tourists getting off those buses. Dude, I don't think there's ever been a bit we've done, even Tanner Lannister with Game of Thrones, that is as fucking hilarious to me as us pretending to be cowboys and talking about Big Sky Country, Montana. It's like my favorite thing. And now we have like a logo. If you haven't seen on our Instagram, we have a clamstone logo. Barrett and I both got branded last week.
Yeah,
it's just been a really intense
Yeah.
year, 2020. And we're continuing that with our coverage of Yellowstone. Closing out Season 1 next week. Yellowstone Season 1 coming to a close. We will obviously also be covering more of The Boys, as we said. Not sure if we'll get another episode or 2 episodes in next week, but we'll be continuing coverage of The Boys. And then hopefully Lovecraft Country can turn it around, as Barrett and I have both found ourselves a little bewildered and confused about what exactly we are doing at this point. That will do it for today's episode of OCC. Huge thanks to today's sponsor, Birddogs. Everybody support the show by going to birddogs.com, using that code DRAGON, getting yourself some shorts or some pants and some nunchucks. Also, everybody supporting the show on patreon.com/oysters, clams, cockles. We appreciate y'all so much for pledging your support, a minimum of $5 in exchange for additional ad-free premium episodes of Oysters, Clams, and Cockles every month. You can support OCC directly right there on Patreon. It's simply a platform that allows us to circumvent advertising and bring you more OCC ad-free every single week. You can either join the Crustacean Nation, get 3 additional episodes a month, join the Mollusk Militia, get 4 additional episodes a month, the 4th of which is a hotline call extravaganza driven entirely by Mollusk Militia hotline exclusive calls just from that group of people. And you could join the wiretappers if perhaps your only interest is getting that hotline call extravaganza every month. There are a few handful of tiers there for you to pick from on patreon.com/oysters, clams, and cockles, dependent on...
Did you mention the movie club tier?
I did not mention the movie club tier. We also have a tier just for if you want to join our movie club now, where, as I mentioned...
Which is Tenet. This week. We're going tomorrow. Ross and I
are
boldly and bravely...
venturing into the wild, into the public,
to go see this movie.
I have purchased a Bubble Boy outfit to wear into the theater.
Are you gonna wear a shield, a face shield?
I don't own a face shield.
I don't own one either, but I was thinking about it, and it's like you could have
popcorn and have the shield.
You could have the shield on and have your straw going up and just be shoveling popcorn
only
right under the shield.
I need a shield that stops below the eyes. Then I don't want my vision of the screen skewed by
I don't
any
think
type
it would
of plastic.
Yes, I'm just spitballing here.
Okay.
I'm not going to go shield tomorrow. Like I said, I put a lot of stock and a lot of faith into
the ventilation
system at the Bob Bullock IMAX theater, and it's like
it's a museum.
That
folks.
The IMAX screen that they have there, it's so tall, and that theater is so cavernous that it actually reminds you a lot of standing outside and looking up at the Big Sky Country.
You just can't fucking help yourself at this point. Yeah, it's the exact same thing. But yeah, if you want to join Movie Club and enjoy Tenet with us this month, if at any point this month you're going to go see Tenet, or really into next month, join the Movie Club Patreon tier right there on patreon.com/oysters, clams, cockles, and boom, you get your Movie Club episode every month. This week, last month we did Defy Bloods. We do all types of fun stuff on Patreon. Again, to support the show, get more OCC ad-free. Every episode on Patreon, totally ad-free. Patreon, patreon.com/oysters, clams, cockles. Go pledge your support for the show. Get more OCC ad-free. Premium, high-quality, handmade shit we're talking here. Follow us on social media for updates on the best in TV and film. Instagram, @oysters, clams, cockles. Twitter, @clams and cockles, facebook.com/oysters, clams, cockles. My name is Ross Bolin, and you can follow me @WRBolin, WRBOLEN on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat, as well as hear my voice on the Ross Bolin podcast week in and week out. We do 2 episodes a week, and you can listen to the Ross Bolin podcast wherever you listen to Oysters, Clams, and Cockles. Also available to watch on youtube.com/Bolin Media, as is every episode of OCC that goes live on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the like. RBP, same places as OCC. It's a mental health show with a focus on comedy and humor and animals and current events and history and sports and music and basically whatever the fuck I want to talk about. The Ross Bolin podcast. Go give it a listen. Mr. Dudley, where can we follow you on the social mediums and hear more of your voice talking about how you like to go out and just stare up at that big Montana sky?
That big Montana sky. Right here in Big Sky Country. At Barrett Dudley on Instagram and Twitter. And then you can check out the Club Cool podcast wherever you're listening to Oysters, Clams, and Cockles. We do a little style, a little pop culture, talk about the stuff that we're going to wear.
Oh, clothes.
When we can really start dressing.
Oh, yeah.
Should be any day now, Ross. But yeah, truthfully, go see Tenet and subscribe to one of the 3 tiers that we offer that will get you access to our Tenet podcast.
Crustacean Nation, Mollusk Militia, and Movie Club all get you that Tenet access. Don't they, Barrett?
That is absolutely correct, yes.
Don't they? Patreon.com/OystersClamsCockles.
That is just absolutely true.
That's the God's truth.
That's the God's truth.
God's honest
Lord
truth.
God. You give us the rain, a little bit of luck. We will take care of the rest.
Thank you all so much for being here with us this week. Until our next helping. Adios, muchachos.